Hey guys, welcome to Life and Legacy Homestead. My name is Anna and thank you for coming here. Today we're going to make mandu, or it's Korean dumplings. And let me show you the ingredients that we're going to need. Alright, so I don't know if you can see that. We need the sugar to make the marinade mix to put in the dumplings, and then we're also going to need it to make the dipping sauce. We got salt, black pepper. This is Korean peppers that I grew last year. And then we have some farm fresh eggs from our chickens, sesame oil, vinegar for the dipping sauce. And then these are a majority of the ingredients that's going to go in, except I forgot to pull out the pork that I grounded this morning, because we're going to make pork mandu because pork just tastes so good. And so you need to make it from something that tastes good, right? And then I prepared some dough to make homemade dumpling wrappers. Let's go ahead and make the marinade first. And the marinade is my usual marinade only has 2 eggs in it, but I wanted to experiment with 3 eggs to see if it will help the insides of it stay a little bit more together. Here, 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. Oops. And then 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. And then this black pepper, I just bought the whole peppercorns and then just grinded it in my Blendtec blender. Then 1 tablespoon of fine sea salt plus 1 teaspoon. And then this is our homegrown garlic, and I like to just mince them up and then put it in the freezer because it makes it so convenient. So one of these little sections is 1 tablespoon, and I need about 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. So 3 teaspoons makes 1 tablespoon, so I'm just going to divide into a third. And I need 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Now I found that when I make mandu, I like to actually use the Kikkoman soy sauce, but this is all I have on hand, so I'm going to use this, and it's 3 tablespoons. And this is a recipe that I worked on for a while because my mom is a great cook, and she used to make this just on special occasions, but I actually like to have it because it's like a convenience food on hand. 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Sesame oil. Am I reading that right? I can't remember. And then half plus a half tablespoon. And then we're just gonna mix this up. Okay, set that aside. And then I like to make the dumpling sauce and or the dipping sauce, and it's just amazing how good this is. So it's a 1/2 cup of soy sauce, and I just like to put it in this mason jar here because it's easy to hold around. 1/2 cup of white vinegar, and this is also a recipe that I came up with. I don't come up with a lot of recipes, but this is some of it. If you can find it online and it tastes good and you like it, what's the point, right? And wasting time making your own. And then we need 3 tablespoons of sugar. 1. Now you can use like stevia instead of sugar. I just have sugar out, so that's what I'm going to use. And then 1 tablespoon of Korean pepper. Now 1 teaspoon. Now you don't have to put this in, but you kind of do, so just put it in. And do not substitute crushed red, please. It's not the same thing as Korean red pepper flakes. And then 1/2 teaspoon of ground pepper. And it's really not spicy at all, I promise. Okay, just use a spoon. Mix it all up. changed my mind. I decided to go get a lid. Then I have a ring. I'm just using an old lid that I don't use for canning anymore. Shake it up. Okay, so I like to mince all of my vegetables. So let's start with the carrots. And let's get a big bowl out so we can mix all this good stuff together. All right, so I like to just kind of roughly chop it because it makes it easier when it's in the food processor. One of these days, I'm gonna get a new food processor. This is the Hamilton Mill. It served this purpose, but I definitely need to get a bigger one and a more powerful food processor because this is just not cutting it for me as well. I don't know why I was complaining about the food processor because my mom, when we were growing up, she chopped everything by hand and it took forever to make it into those little tiny pieces. So thank you, food processor. Okay. So it's got this consistency. I don't know if you can see it. Small. Small. And then just gonna put it right into the big bowl. On to the next. Let's do zucchini next. Okay, so it's the same consistency of the carrot. And actually, we gotta do an extra step. We have to squeeze the water out of the zucchini because we don't want to add too much extra moisture to the dumpling filling because then it'll just be watery and our marinade's watery enough. So I'm going to squeeze it out. We don't have to worry about being so clean because we're going to move on to the next one. So just get one of these called cheesecloths or flour sacks or whatever. All right. Okay. I'm just gonna put this in there. Okay. All right. Next one I'm gonna do is, I guess I can do cabbage. Take this little hard part off. Compost this. All right. Same thing. Just cut it up. So here's a breakdown of the vegetables that I use. I use 1 pound of carrots, 1 pound of zucchini, 1 pound of yellow onions, 10 ounces of cabbage, 8 ounces of portobello mushrooms, 8 ounces of chopped green onions, and 16 ounces of soft tofu, and 2.5 pounds of ground pork. And then next is mushrooms. These are just portobello mushrooms. You can really use any kind of mushrooms you want here. You don't have to use portobello. All right, and then we have the onions last. we got one more thing. These are homegrown green onions that I harvested back in August, and I pulled them out of the freezer. And I also got to get the juice or the water out of it. And do that. And I forgot one more thing, tofu. Well, technically two things. Ground pork, and then tofu. Okay, all right. And lastly is the pork. This is gonna be cold, so I have a little like glove my friend gave me that I can wear over this, because I'm gonna get my hands all up in it. Do first is mix all this up. Look at that. It's mixed up. Then gonna add the marinade. So when I make mandu, I make huge batches, and this batch of just the meat and the vegetables alone is almost 8 pounds together. So make a huge batch and put it in the freezer as a convenience food item. There it is. And then just pat it down. We'll wrap it up and we'll put it in the fridge until we're ready to wrap. All right, let's get to the dumpling wrapping part. Dumpling wrappers is called mandu in Korean, and I found this recipe on KoreanPopsong.com. And she did have you roll this or knead it by hand, and I don't like kneading things by hand that much, so I used my KitchenAid stand mixer, and that worked out just fine. This dough has been sitting on the counter for an hour and a half, and it came out wonderful and tasting amazing. So I do suggest you use organic unbleached flour as well, and go ahead and divide it into quarters like I am, because it will help roll it out easier. So I'm just gonna roll it out. As I was making more mandu off camera, I found that it was easier if I just separated the dough into their each individual pieces and then just roll it out that way, because there was a lot less waste. So I would suggest you doing that as well, instead of rolling it out into this one large piece and then cutting out each individual pieces. Cover that so it doesn't get dried out, and we're gonna wrap some mandu. I'm gonna go ahead and I got a nonstick pan here, so I have it on medium heat, and then I'm gonna put some oil on it once it heats up. So I'm just using a cookie scoop to measure out how much filling I want in the mandu, and I'm stretching this out so that I can fit the filling in. And the first one that I made was a little too small, so stretching it out helped me close it up better. And I found that you don't have to put water on the edges of the mandu wrapper. If you were using frozen ones, you would have to do that since the dough is dry, but this is fresh, so you don't need to put any water on it at all. And as far as closing it up, you can just fold it in half and then just pinch the sides together for it to look like a half moon, or you can do it like I did and just fold the edges, kind of overlapping them together and making them pretty. Okay, so pan's hot. I'm gonna add some just regular olive oil. Okay, and then I'm gonna add my dumplings in. And I kind of like to swirl the oil around. Now I haven't had any breakfast. All I had today was a little bit of water. And then I'm just gonna pour a little bit of water in there to create a steaming action. And then close it up. And And then I'm going to cook it for about 8 minutes. And then I'm going to turn down the heat too a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to flip. There's like 2 minutes left. So let's see how it's doing. Okay, it's a little color. I'm just going to flip it. Ooh, hot. I'm going to cover it. I forgot to shake it during the cooking process. Alright. Okay, it's almost done. Timer's about to go off. Turn it off. Okay. Okay. Should be done. Alright. Place this up. Okay. Here we go. I don't know if you can see that. So let's try. This is our sauce that we made. I don't know if you can. It's this sauce. This homemade sauce. It's gonna be like piping hot. Wow. If you could make your own dumpling wrapper, you definitely need to. So hot, but so good. You know when you get like a fresh pizza that's like straight out of the oven? And I have a problem where I want to eat it straight out of the oven, like burn the roof of my mouth and just be in pain, but just eat it, because I think that's the only way to eat pizza, is literally take it out of the oven, cut it, and just stuff it in my mouth. And that's how I like to eat my dumplings too. So I did burn the roof of my mouth because that's just how I eat. I love to eat soup that's piping hot, and just really anything else. So hot, but so good.